Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're talking about a crisis brewing in one narrow strip of water, a crisis that could seriously mess with the entire global economy.
And this isn't some what-if scenario. No, this is happening right now, in the Red Sea. And believe me, it has a direct line to things you care about, like the price you pay for gas, or even whether you can get that new phone you've been eyeing.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to trace this whole ripple effect, starting with the attacks themselves, and then follow it all the way to the huge economic and political consequences. We'll break down what's happening, why you should care, and what could happen next.
Okay, let's dive right in. To understand this whole mess, we have to start at the very beginning. What is actually happening out on the water?
So, the whole thing kicked off with a series of attacks by a group known as the Houthi movement in Yemen. And get this, they're not targeting military ships. Nope, they're going after the massive commercial vessels. The giant container ships that are basically the lifeblood of global trade.
Now, the Houthis have been pretty upfront about why they're doing this. They say it's all a response to the war in Gaza. And they're using some pretty serious hardware. Missiles, drones, you name it. They basically turned one of the most critical shipping lanes on the planet into a danger zone, and as a result, a lot of shipping companies are saying no thanks and are staying far, far away.
Okay, so why is this such a big deal? I mean, it's just one stretch of water, right? Well, to really get the scale of these shockwaves, we need to talk about why this particular waterway is so incredibly important.
Just try to wrap your head around this number. Somewhere between 12 and 15% of all global trade passes through the Red Sea. That is a massive, massive chunk of the world's economy, all squeezed through this one narrow and now very vulnerable channel.
And look, we're not talking about abstract stuff in shipping containers here. This is the stuff you and I use every single day. We're talking about the oil and gas that heat our homes and fuel our cars, the food we eat, the electronics in our pockets. A huge portion of it sails right through that waterway.
So what it really boils down to is this simple fact. The Red Sea route, which connects to the Suez Canal, is the world's most important shortcut for ships. It's like a super highway. And when that highway is closed, well, you've got to take the long, scenic route.
So, what happens when that superhighway is blocked? What are the real-world consequences when taking the shortcut is off the table?
Well, shipping companies are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can either risk sailing through the Red Sea, or they have to take this enormous detour all the way around the southern tip of Africa. And let me tell you, that alternative route isn't just a little bit longer, it can add weeks to a journey. And all that extra time means way higher costs for fuel, for the crew, for insurance. You get the picture. It gets expensive fast.
And this is where that domino effect really kicks in. Because of that big detour, shipping costs are just soaring. That means you're going to see delays for everything from car parts to new clothes. Oil prices get all jumpy and unpredictable, and there's a very real fear that this could kickstart inflation all over again, right when countries thought they were getting it under control.
But listen, this isn't just about money and shipping schedules. Oh no, this is escalating way beyond that. It's quickly turning into a massive geopolitical flashpoint.
And this is where things get really, really dangerous. Geopolitical experts are sounding the alarm. They're saying this isn't some small local issue in Yemen anymore. This is a major Middle East conflict spilling out onto the world stage, and it's threatening to drag in some of the biggest global powers.
Just look at the list of players getting involved. It's growing by the day. You've got the Houthi movement launching the attacks. Then you have the US and the UK hitting back with airstrikes. Lurking in the background, you have Iran, who many accuse of backing the Houthis. And it all circles back to the conflict in Gaza, which is cited as the reason this all started. This whole geopolitical chessboard is getting incredibly crowded, and every single move is a huge risk. And here's the really scary part. Every drone that's launched, every retaliatory strike, it all pushes everyone involved one step closer to a much bigger, much more direct conflict. The whole situation is an absolute tinderbox. One wrong move, and it could ignite a much, much wider war.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. Why does this crisis, happening thousands of miles away, matter so much to all of us? What's really at stake here in the long run?
I mean, just think about it. Imagine a future where the Red Sea is basically a permanent no-go zone for shipping. The fallout would be just devastating. We're not talking about a temporary problem here. This could literally trigger a global economic slowdown. And the countries that would suffer the most are the developing nations, the ones who are already struggling. It would be a massive shock to the entire system of world trade we've spent decades building.
So when you boil it all down, this isn't just a battle on the water. It's a battle for the stability of the entire world's economy. The free, safe passage of goods through these sea lanes, that's the beating heart of our global system. And right now, that heart is under attack.
And what this whole crisis really does is it forces us to ask a really tough question about the world we've built. It's shown us just how fragile these incredibly complex supply chains we rely on really are. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? As things get more and more fragile, just how strong is this global system we all take for granted?